Hi, I'm so excited to be here. I love my Power to Fly team.
We love you. Welcome back. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, I feel like it's like once a year, but every year I'm like, are we at the end of another year already?
I know, isn't it wild? But it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, so excited to be here. Always grateful to, celebrate, encourage, and empower my fellow military spouses, transitioning spouses, veteran service members. This is the cause that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah. Well, I read a bit about your bio, and for folks that maybe are meeting you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about your story and your journey of how you ended up in this position in your life?
Well, it's because I was a military spouse and I had no choice but to pivot and roll with the punches. So, my husband was in the Navy. He just retired 2 years ago after 21 years of service. So, we are on the other
Congratulations.
side, friends. We are living that retirement life, which has been nice. But my path with 4 kids was school. Like most military spouses, I wanted to become a doctor. I got a couple of degrees. I took my MCATs. My husband was deploying, and I was like, this is never gonna happen for me. Like most military spouses, I felt battered and beaten down. And I started an accidental company out of my home kitchen, which was a meal prepping company, which I turned into a 7-figure business in its first year. I failed every way from Tuesday. I did everything wrong 2 times before I did it right. But I went on to become this big advocate over a decade ago for military spouse entrepreneurship because nobody told me this was a path forward. It wasn't as buzzy as it is now. And I was like, nobody told me I could just hire myself. This is way better. And then I went on to hire 100 military spouses, and then afterwards went to go on to build programs specifically in the veteran and the military spouse space to teach spouses all the things I was like, nobody taught me these things, and have expanded my career. Now I teach at university. I run Stella, which leans into female founders, but my journey has been all over the place, just like most in this crazy community, because we're forced to pivot with the life that's been given to us or, told what we had to do from week to week.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, what an interesting position you find yourself in now with how you were really ahead of the curve. And now I think suddenly, like post COVID, it got, like you said, more buzzy because people were like, oh, I can rethink employment entirely.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, so when I started building programs in the military space, I worked in the veteran space because there wasn't military spouse programs. They were like, oh, spouses can come too. And I was like, I don't think that's a thing, and it doesn't say it's a thing, and we're kind of uncomfortable. Why don't spouses have their own programs? And as I leaned into the advocacy and building of that, I also started leaning into remote programs before COVID. And I was like, the only way to reach spouses who are 94% women, mostly moms, all over the world in remote areas is virtually to give them these tools and resources where they can just log in on lunch breaks or before, breakfast or in at night when the kids are in bed. And I would advocate and say, why aren't these programs accessible? They're not all near a base, they're not all near a big city, and they're definitely not capable of taking the time out in their day to go to these programs and have a babysitter and commuting. And honestly, the response I got was, well, if they can't come to the program, should they be starting a business? And I was like, whoa, buddy. It's like, let me slow you down right there. So, as COVID took over, we had already built this framework for remote training and education and teaching spouses to become entrepreneurs. And everybody said, wait a minute, how'd you do that? And I'm just so glad that we're here because
Mm.
it wasn't what I had opportunities for. But now I get to sit in this amazing chair of teaching others to do similar things and being proud of how far we've come. So COVID helped, but this is my jam. Like, if I can do it, you all can do it.
I love that. Yeah, it's you never really know where life is going to take you, right? Like you had one intention and then suddenly you had this opportunity to be of service to so many more people than you probably ever imagined.
Yeah, and I mean it's been humbling to say the least, and my true joy comes from giving others what I didn't have. In that first
Mm.
business, I couldn't find mentors, I couldn't find programs. It didn't really seem to fit. I felt like I had to stumble my way through my first business, which was really painful. And I said there should be a blueprint. Step one, step two, how do I do these things? And there should be more people like me, military spouses or women or people who don't live near big startup hubs to be successful. So my whole life's work has been to give others what I didn't have.
I love that. So you're speaking to earlier, you said there must be more people like me when you're scrappy, you're figuring it out. So now that you have been helping all these other folks, these military spouses, what make military spouses such great entrepreneurs?
Well, I know all the military spouses in the audience are going to cringe when I say adaptability and resilience and flexibility because we're told every day, you're so resilient. We're like, yes, but we don't have a choice to be other than resilient. Otherwise, the
Mhm.
military life crushes you. I love our service members. I love what our families do for this country, but spouses traditionally sacrifice so much of themselves and their lives and their goals for the sake of the service member serving or supporting the family at home or moving or packing or doing all of these things. But military spouses can live under pressure and we can make
Mm,
decisions and we can take big, huge things and break them down into timelines and countdowns and one step at a time. So it is so natural for military spouses to be like, yeah, this is easy. Have you seen the things I've gone through? This
yeah.
is a cakewalk. They just naturally have that grit that
Hmm.
entrepreneurs need.
Right, because so much of being an entrepreneur is what is the next right thing I have to do right now that may be a small piece, but it's going to get us to the finish line today or this quarter or this year.
Yeah, and that was one of my superpowers I didn't know I had when I started my first business. Everybody sees the thing, right? Like the mountain, but they don't see the 100 steps to get to the top of the mountain. And I would go, oh, okay, you want to do that thing? Here's how you do it, inch by
Mm.
inch, step by step. And they were like, how do you do that? And it's because military life, we'd be like, okay, in 2 years, we have to move from California to New York. In 6 months, we have a deployment, and you start reverse mapping these massive life transitions from movers and planners and doctors and school records, and you have to research every step of the way. So every morning you wake up and you go, what does my day look like to get to that next benchmark, I guess, is what you would say in military life, right? Your life runs in timelines. So if you're like, I'm working towards the next homecoming or the next deployment or the next PCS or the next whatever, you reverse engineer it. And that's what
Mm.
entrepreneurship is, taking that massive, heavy thing and going, what went right, what went wrong, and how do I keep inching forward every day to get the job done? And we're used to being beaten down a lot by like the stress and the pressure. So entrepreneurship is the same. We're like, okay, that didn't work. How do I make it work?
So I hear a lot of the challenges and how you've been able to work through it. I'm curious on a practical way. I'm curious, Flossie, can you share some of your mental health coping habits that have gotten you through? Because every time I talk to you, you're just like, you're coming in bubbles and it's like glitter and joy, and I love it. And it's like, and you've gone through very, very challenging things repeatedly. I think you just said beaten down sometimes. So how do you show up like this? What did you do for yourself internally starting out, and what do you do now?
I think in military life, I am a positive outlook person. You can't control military life. So your whole life is dictated for you. And when you feel like you have to control those things, it creates a sense of stress and, a defeat feeling that you can't. But if you realize you don't have control, you just kind of have to take what comes at you. You're doing your best, give yourself grace. I am literally doing the best I can. So if my house isn't clean, who cares? If I have groceries delivered, amazing. If I hire a housekeeper, even better. You have to take what is being given to you, and you have to just move through it because it's your goal, it's your mission, your family's livelihood is at stake. But my big mental health shift was that I put myself last for years and years. And I said, my service member comes first because the government tells me that. And then my kids come next, and then the dogs, and then the house, and then all the things. And then at the end of the day, as spouses, we go, wasn't I supposed to have a career or a sense of purpose? Like, my purpose is not servitude to other humans. So my mind shift said, I'm going to start carving out time every day for me. I'm a human. I'm 1/6 of my family, and I deserve to be treated like 1/6 of my family. So
Mm.
you do the kid pickups, you do the dishes, you do, the dog things. I'm going to go take this class or work on my business or go to this meeting. And that mind shift allowed me to stop being so resentful towards the military demands, my service member chasing their career. And he was like happy and content and moving up and getting promoted. And I'm like, womp womp. But then I had something for me, and I had purpose, and I had meaning. And I think it relieved that pressure and allowed me and gave me permission. That's the key, to also take care of myself and to also have goals and to also have dreams. It's slower and longer and tedious, but I inched my way to get every single checkbox that I wanted done.
And how was that for the other people? Because when you switch your dynamic with loved ones, with friends, I've experienced this in my life. How did you navigate that transition to be like, no, you're going to do that part now, and I'm going to go take this class, and it to be okay as it should be?
I have an amazing husband. I'm really lucky. And I have a lot of, service member friends and spouses, and some of them don't have that same partnership. So I get that it can be more difficult. I was blessed that my spouse was like, okay, I'm home from deployment, tag team. Now it's my turn. As soon as I get home, I'll take the kids, I'll do the housework, because I just basically said, no, I'm done. Like, I'm done. It's my turn. And even now in
Mm.
retirement, after 2 years, it is my turn. It is, and I'm more all in on my career, and my husband's more all in on supporting me. So my kids, it's kind of like tough luck. Like, there is nobody else to do these things, especially as my older two started to like drive. I was like, oh, you're taking the kids to appointments, you're picking your sister up from school. Like, this
Yeah.
is a team effort. And if you want me to feed you, clothe you, and house you, this is your contribution to the family. But again, I have an amazing husband, and I am truly blessed that he's like, you do all this for me. Now it's my turn. And he would have to tag out like on trainings and things we couldn't control, but if he was home, he was there for us.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It really is. It takes a village, right? Like back
Yeah.
in early American, like we were just on a farm, and like if you were a kid, you were working. Like, oh, cool, you can walk, move those turnips. Like that's what we do now.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite of a helicopter parent, is what my
Right.
friends tell me. I'm like the go figure it out yourself parent, because nothing was ever handed to me, and the
Right.
world is not going to hand them things. So
Yeah.
you have to order your food from the waitress. You have to go up to the front desk and ask your question. You have to figure it out, right? And
Mm.
sometimes you have to do that to say, hey, spouses, give up the control. And what will really go wrong if your kid wears two different shoes to school, or like wears something wonky, or a dirty sweatshirt for 3 days? Like, nobody really cares. Like, just let it go. Let it
Right.
go.
Right. Oh, that's hilarious. So you have been on the forefront of working remotely and being scrappy and an entrepreneur with freelancing. What do you recommend to folks to help them build portable and sustainable careers? And what other challenges have military spouses faced in these types of career opportunities?
So nobody told me first that I could start a business. So many spouses just go to school and get degree after degree, and they have so many different things, certifications and multiple backgrounds. What they don't realize is if they pivoted and took that work ethic and put it towards their own business, they would be much more successful. And I always start out with spouses by saying, like, starting a business does not mean having hundreds of employees and millions of dollars. It can literally just be a a solo business where you're doing social media marketing or PR or consulting or HR consulting or mental health virtual appointments now, like telehealth has been huge. But you can do that on your own. You get to control your schedule. You get to control where you work. You also get to control what you charge. So instead of a
Mhm.
company paying you subpar wages, you can say, I'm going to bill $100 an hour. That way I only have to work 20 hours a week and I can still manage my family. So I encourage spouses to kind of, one, give yourself permission that it's not as scary as you think it is. What are you really great at? You have all these skills, and how can people pay you for those skills? Consulting is huge, and it allows you the flexibility, the freedom, and the high billable hourly rate to make what you would make 40 hours a week in an office with 3 days of sick leave. Like you have to, traffic, buffer, kids drop offs. I always say I was the worst employee on the planet because I was like so good at my job, but I had four kids. I would have to like
Yeah.
get them to school, get them out of school. One would get sick, the second would get sick, then I would get sick. And they would be like, Flossie, you're always late. You're always calling in sick. Well, I have no family. My husband isn't here, and it's only me. I'm really amazing when I'm here, but if you're rating me based on clocking in 3 minutes late or clocking out 4 minutes early, that's not the value I provide for you. So it was a huge stress relief when I said, I'm only answering to myself because I'm really valuable when I have the freedom to work. I just don't have the freedom to be held to somebody else's time structure and sit in a chair for 8 hours a day. So give yourself permission, figure out what you're good at, and how can you monetize that virtually or remotely or from the back of a U-Haul or a hotel room in Colorado or
Yeah.
on your way to Germany. There's so much that you can do with 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, much higher billable hour rate, and more freedom to take care of the things you have to take care of.
Amen. Amen to that. You also gave me, I had this memory that I hadn't just, when the synapse fires and you're like,
Unlocked.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking about one of my early jobs. I'm going to date myself a little bit at a little mom and pop shop. And when you said clocking in, I literally had the punch card that went that you actually like it stamped the time. And I was like, wow, those don't exist anymore. Nobody uses that.
No, and I mean, I had a corporate job where you
Yep.
clocked in, and
Yeah, yeah.
corporate would go flag this employee's clocked in more than 3 minutes late 7 times. So I'd
Yeah.
have to sit in a manager's office and go, I'm your number one selling employee after 3 months of being here. Yes, I'm late, but I got stuff going on.
Yeah.
Give a
Yeah.
girl a little help. Like, I'm here making you money. Give me
Yeah.
5 extra minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like the measures of success are out of whack, right? In that
Yeah.
scenario. And that I mean maybe has changed a little bit with remote work, even if you're working for a company, the clocks can be a little more flexible, but there is something that's powerful about if you're interested in being an entrepreneur, if you feel like you're just showing up at a job and you're like, this is maybe not a good fit for me, then it really is an incredible opportunity when you can have those billable hours that are higher and then structure the time that the way works for you.
Yeah, and it was power. Like the second that I learned that I could control my own destiny, how much I charged the work that I did and when I did it, I
Mm,
could tell my clients I'm getting ready to move or my spouse is coming home from a deployment. I'm going to front load the work in the month and then I'd take 2 weeks off and I don't have vacation days. I would just take 2 weeks off and I made
yeah.
all the money in the first half of the month. So the power that you get as a spouse is something we don't have, that loss of control, that loss of stability. And if you become an entrepreneur and you learn how to do it right, you have the freedom to be whatever you want to be on your own schedule. And then sending you all love and prayers for post-military service to really double down on that and go all in.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear. So you've secured partnerships with companies like Amazon and USAA. What advice do you have for military spouses looking to build networks and leverage corporate partnerships in their entrepreneurial journeys?
Yeah, so sponsorship is like a foundation of everything I teach. And I've landed these big partnerships, and everybody said, how? And it's because I leaned into LinkedIn, first of all, like 8 years ago when everyone was like, what is this? It's a job site. And I'm like, oh no, everybody is on LinkedIn. If I want to meet the CEO of whatever company, I go on LinkedIn and I say, hi, I'm Flossie. And I literally jump in people's inboxes. I would go
Yeah.
to local events and I would identify the people in the room that I wanted to work with. And I said, you over there, how do I get near you? And how do I just soak up everything that you know? And military spouses put ourselves in these isolation bubbles, right? Like we move and it's too exhausting to build relationships in these new cities. Because by the time you get settled in, you come up for air 6 months later and you're like, well, why? I'm going to move again in 6 months. So we have these very nomadic lifestyles, but then we put ourselves in these bubbles where we're like, why try? But using the internet, virtual events like this, virtual programming, virtual nonprofit organizations, there's so many out there that put you in a digital room, but you have to be able to reach out and say, hi, I'm so and so. I just started my HR consulting business. Can I learn about the work you do? Can I be part of the things you're doing? Can I offer mentoring? Can I do something for free to just get in the door and say hello, show you how great I am? So I leaned into LinkedIn when that also wasn't a big thing. I love LinkedIn. It's part of my day. It's open all day. But I'm not afraid to just reach out to anybody and say, hi, I'm Flossie. I work with military spouses. I'd love to see how we could work together. And you'd be surprised how many people respond and say, great to meet you. Let's set up a call.
Hmm.
You're going to get a lot of no responses, but it's okay. You have to put yourself out there consistently. So, as spouses, don't be in your isolation bubble. I get it. It's scary out in the world, but like go find your people. Human capital is the best capital for any job, role, opportunity. If you build your network, there's money waiting on the other side of that, whether it's somebody who opens a door to a job or a contract or an opportunity or a grant or working on a project. And just like working with Amazon, because of my work, I was able to support the launch of Amazon Military because I was seen online as the person who supported veteran and military spouses. And they came to me and said, can you help us with this project? Which is powerful. I was like, wait, what? I get to work with Amazon? This is really fun. But I put myself out there and I told everybody who I was and what work I do. And
Yeah.
even now, I post several times on LinkedIn every single week about who I am, what I do, who I support, and why it's important to keep doing the things I'm doing.
That is so awesome, Flossie.
Hi, I'm Saucy.
It's like it's simple but powerful advice, you know? And now so you got in to the LinkedIn days early, right? And you were able to establish yourself, which was very smart. Now I feel like every talk, every summit, we're always like LinkedIn, LinkedIn, LinkedIn. So what do you do now that people are maybe a little more bold with like in mail, which is like sending messages via a paid service and all the stuff? How do you now authentically connect and reach out to people in now that it's a bit more saturated?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I teach. I've tried the AI tools. I don't believe in them. I firmly advocate against them because it's inauthentic. And the goal of this is relationships, it's
Yeah.
human capital. It is not a numbers game. So if I see somebody that I admire their work, example, the head of Center for American Entrepreneurship, I read an article by their founder, John Deary, in Forbes. I reached out on LinkedIn. Hey, John, just read your article in Forbes. Here's the things I loved about it. Here's what I do. Let's connect. It turned into a friendship, a mentorship. But if I wasn't authentic in that I just said, hey,
Mhm.
John, how's your productivity? Did you know you can really increase your ROI? But that's a sales spam. Nobody's
Yeah.
responding to those messages.
No.
Go find the people you want to connect with, be authentic, put your hand out and say, how can I support your work and what you're doing? And then care about the things they post. I will go on and engage. Great
Yes.
post, love this article, great takeaways, share it, amplify it. And then when I do reach out, they've seen Flossie's name all over their LinkedIn feed.
Yeah.
authenticity. I do care about what they're posting. I do care about the work that they're doing. I'm not sending 1,000 AI messages to see what I catch in the
Yeah, the days of spray and pray are gone, right? Like, let's just hope something happens. It's, you know, I what because I love what you're saying. You do actually care about engaging, and then the algorithm rewards that because then your content gets pushed to that person as well once there's this engagement. So it does reward good behavior in a weird way, I guess.
Well, it's an
Authentic behavior.
engaging platform. That's
Yeah,
what it's
that's the whole
for,
point.
thought leadership. It is
Yeah.
also for job recruiting, but LinkedIn has turned into a thought leadership platform. So
Yep.
you can AI your responses or your posts all day, but it is going to reward original thought leaders who are engaging and being engaged by other people who care about what you're talking about. So lean into
100%.
LinkedIn. And I still see like so many spouses who haven't done it. And they're like, what do I post? I'm afraid. How do I talk about myself? Just put yourself out there. It's okay. I always say everybody's baby's ugly at first. Like just put your baby out there and just give it a shot. You'll get better at it the more that you do.
Yeah, totally. I don't know if you've done this little trick yet. I put an emoji in the front of my name. Do you know this trick?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that way, when someone is spamming me and the emoji is there, I'm like, you're spamming me. You did not actually type that.
That is because it auto generates it. So every day,
Exactly.
I just other. I move people and I go, ooh, there's an authentic message. Let me read what Hunter's chatting about today. But it's one of those things you still have to filter the spam, but stand out in a crowd of spam messages and sales bots and say, hi, I'm Flossie. I do great things. Let's be friends.
Well, Flossie, all of that is true. I can plus one that. Is there one thing that you would like to leave everyone with? There's so many more questions I had to ask you, but there's never enough time. What's one key takeaway you would love to share with everyone today?
I think we talked about it earlier. I just want to tell all the spouses to give yourself permission to pour energy into yourself, whether it's a career, whether it's education. We are taught to just volunteer, and then we feel beaten down, taken advantage of, and underpaid. Put that energy into yourself in the form of money, career, rewards, a business. But you first have to say, I deserve to be 1/6 of my family, and I'm going to treat myself like I would take care of my kids or my service member. Give yourself permission. It is okay to be a little bit selfish for 1 or 2 hours a day and give yourself that time. Self care, business, advancement, career, one step at a time, but give yourself permission to do it.
Absolutely. Got to put that oxygen mask on, right? What's the best way to stay connected with you? I know you're on LinkedIn. How can people find you? And your website, where should we go?
Yeah, website is fine, but I'm sure it's outdated. You can join us at Stella Foundation if there's any women that are looking to start their businesses. It's a nonprofit, it's national at stella.co. You can join for free. We have education from ideation to raising pre-seed seed capital. You can DM me. I meet with a lot of spouses one-on-one to just say, hey, and I'm their cheerleader. LinkedIn is the best place to find me, honestly. So send me an authentic message on LinkedIn if you're watching this and say, hi, I'm so and so. This is what I'd love to learn more about. And I'm happy to send my link over to meet with anybody who wants to chat.
Amazing. Flossie, always a delight. I can't wait until next year. Maybe we can do it before next year. We can talk again. Who
I'm
knows?
in. I'm in. Let's do more of these.
I would love that. All right. Thanks, Flossie. Take care.